now, there is a lot of news to react to. Let's do that on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Wednesday, November 12th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Chris Towers. Lots of news to discuss from the past week. We learned that Emmanuel Clase and Luiz Ortiz were indicted on multiple federal charges related to bets on pitches thrown in MLB games. Chris, it sounds like they will not ever be back in baseball, and as a result, Cade Smith is the guy for the Guardians. His early NFBC ADP is 63.6 as the fourth closer off the board. What do you think of that price there on Cade Smith and just this unsightly news that we recently received?
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Clase was a Hall of Fame caliber talent, and it's a real bummer to see him throwing his career away over this. You hope that this doesn't prove to be any more widespread than this and that they was fairly isolated. But we just don't know that, but it's a real shame for the game of baseball, and don't have a lot to say beyond that. But as for fantasy, Cade Smith is, I think, honestly, almost as good, if not better, at least from a fantasy perspective, than Emmanuel Clase. This is a guy who has been right around 12 to 13 K per nine each of the first two seasons of his career. He's done about 150 innings with a 160-something FIP. It's the best in baseball over the past two seasons, and it's not particularly close. His FIP is about half a run better than Mason Miller's. You prefer ERA? Okay, he's got like a 2.50 ERA over the past two seasons with elite strikeout numbers on a team that racks up huge save totals every year. Cade Smith could be the best closer in fantasy next season, and it wouldn't really surprise me. So I think whatever the top tier of closers is, Yohan Duran, Andres Munoz, Edwin Diaz, I think Cade Smith belongs there.
Let's stick with the relievers and talk about the Rays, who declined Pete Fairbanks' $11 million club option, making him a free agent. As of now, the top two options for saves in their bullpen, Griffin Jax, who they acquired from the Twins at the deadline this past season, and Edwin Uceta, who had a really, really strong second half. Chris, it sounds like there is at least a possibility that Griffin Jax will get an opportunity to start or maybe get stretched out in spring training. Once again, what's your feel here on the Rays bullpen?
Yeah, Jax has huge peripherals and great stuff. It's a deep arsenal for a reliever, like 4 different pitches that he throws 10% of the time. So I think it's worth trying him out as a starter to see if he can do it. He came up as a starter, so in theory, you would think he would be able to do it with the gains and skill that he's seen. So I think if you have to pick one on November 12th, Edwin Uceta would probably be the guy, and probably shouldn't be a high priority pick, certainly not a top 100 pick, although he has that kind of upside. We saw it in 2024. We saw it in the second half of 2025 when he really turned it on. 178 ERA down the stretch is very impressive. I think Jax could be a great closer too, but I would guess Uceta has a better chance of being the closer, and if I had to pick one right now, it would be him.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Only CBS Sports can bring you big time during the heart of Saturday afternoons. It's big time.
It's big time. It's big time. It's big time.
On CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
The GM meetings are going on this week, and we have received some updates. D-backs GM Mike Hazen said trading Ketel Marte is unlikely to happen this offseason. Braves president Alex Anthopoulos said Spencer Schwellenbach is pain-free following his fractured right elbow. In 17 starts, it was a 3.09 ERA, a .97 whip, just under a strikeout per inning. The early NFBC ADP, 81.4 for Schwellenbach as the SP19. Chris, what do you think about that early price tag there on Spencer Schwellenbach?
It's probably fine. I had him higher than that in my first run of starting pitcher rankings, but I'm going to lower him to around this range. Drafting him, the idea of drafting him this high makes me a little itchy. I don't love. It makes me uncomfortable. It's not anything to do with the talent level, though. We saw multiple 10 strikeout games from Spencer Schwellenbach last year. We saw strikeout rate get better as he pitched before the injury. He's going to be an elite whip guy thanks to his control. He should have a very good ERA. It's just, I don't know if he can hold up. And look, I don't know if Hunter Green can hold up, to name just one other pitcher, but as good as Spencer Schwellenbach is, he doesn't have Hunter Green's upside, especially as a strikeout pitcher. So I do think he's someone who probably needs to be pushed down a little more in drafts, but 85, 90, 100, wherever it ultimately lands, that's probably defensible. That's probably okay.
Tommy Edman will undergo right ankle surgery next week. The Dodgers expect Edman to be ready around the start of spring training. Mets president David Stern said prospect Carson Benge will enter spring training with a chance to make the opening day roster. Benge is turning 23 in January, a first-round pick in 2024. This season in the minors hit .281 with 15 homers, 22 steals, and .857 OPS. He did get 24 games in at AAA as well. Chris, I think a name to pay attention to, maybe a deep sleeper here, Carson Benge, outfielder with the New York Mets.
Yeah, especially if the Mets don't sign a natural center fielder this offseason. Like if they don't go out and aggressively add one, I think that would mean that the door is wide open for Carson Benge, who struggled at AAA, but if you look into the actual numbers, he hit the ball hard. The plate discipline's still very good. It was mostly just that he had a 188 BABIP. I don't take too much from that. The overall profile is kind of Brandon Nimmo-esque, where it's kind of he's pretty good at everything, but doesn't have necessarily a standout skill. I know Brandon Nimmo, the plate discipline is very, very good, but that's the kind of fantasy player I think you should be thinking about for Benge. Not huge upside, but could be very, very useful.
Blue Jays GM Ross Atkins said the Blue Jays are not committed to using Jeff Hoffman as their primary closer in 2026. Atkins mentioned Jimmy Garcia and Louis Varland as potential options for saves and didn't rule out the possibility of signing somebody this offseason as well. So the early ADP, Chris, for Jeff Hoffman, 95.6. A lot of
too high.
A lot of those drafts, I assume, were picks were made before this report came out. So, I think we have to see Jeff Hoffman fall down a little bit after this report.
The only thing is if they're going to save him for the closer role, can Louis Varland also continue pitching in every single game like he did in the postseason? It's an open question.
Yeah, so, wanted to pay attention to there with Jeff Hoffman and wanted to wrap up here. It sounds like we have at least 3 Japanese players who are confirmed to be posted this offseason. 25-year-old slugger Munetaka Murakami, who we've heard a lot about. It's massive power there for him. 29-year-old corner infielder Kazuma Akamoto. He is 20, I believe he's like 29, 30. I mentioned he's 29 years old, but good batting average, solid power there as well. And 27-year-old starting pitcher Tatsuya Imai, who has a 192 ERA, a .89 WHIP, around 10K per nine this past season. So 3 names to pay attention to on the full-length podcast. I'm planning to have somebody come on to kind of break down all of these players in depth, somebody who, watches the Nippon League, and so we can get a little bit more insight there. But, 3 names who I think might have fantasy relevance in 2026 there coming over from Japan. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again on Friday. Bye-bye!